Hi everyone, I'm Sloane Taylor and welcome to What's Cooking Wednesday. Today we're making a family favorite sloppy joes and our ingredients are, of course, ground chuck, dry mustard, chicken stock, celery, brown sugar, onion, ketchup, and we're supposed to be using molasses, but as we were setting up I realized I'd forgotten the molasses and couldn't send one of the guys out to get it because we got to film. So we're going to substitute with honey. And if you don't want to buy a big jar of molasses that you're going to use a half a teaspoon for once in a great while, you can substitute with dark Karo syrup, maple syrup, or honey. And you would trade it off cup for cup, teaspoon for teaspoon, that kind of thing. Now we're going to shut down for a moment because we're going to set up at the stove so you can see this wonderful meal cooked in front of you. See you in a bit. We're back. And now we're going to turn the stove on to medium, put a 8 to 10 inch skillet on there, take 1 pound of ground beef and ground chuck. You don't want to use ground beef unless your store does not designate ground chuck. You want 80% lean when you use any kind of ground meat so that you don't have a lot of fat, which comes out to be water when you're cooking it, and then you have nothing, you don't have enough food. You're paying for fat and water when you buy less than 80% ground. So we want to let that brown a little bit, and it takes a while. But you see, we turn the heat up a little bit, and you want to break up all the chunks. You must make sure the chunks are broken, otherwise you're not going to have good sloppy joes. You'll just have lumps of meat. And I think you can hear it cooking. A little more so it browns. And you keep moving it around, and as you cook the meat, it will come apart, crumble apart easier. And the reason you brown this, one, to get the excess liquid out of the meat, and two, because browned meat has a better flavor. And since this dish only takes, I think it's 9 ingredients, you want to get as much flavor out of every single part of it as you possibly can. So to this, we're going to add onion and celery and let that cook with it. See the little bit of moisture coming out? Now if you used ground meat that was less than 80% lean, you would have an ocean of liquid here that you would have to drain out before you continue. Otherwise your dish would be much too greasy. And don't buy ground sirloin. 2 reasons. 1, it's too expensive for a dish like this. 2, it's too lean and it will not have good flavor in a dish like this. But when you make hamburger patties, if you add 1/4 pound, 1/2 pound of ground sirloin to your mix, it really is good. Same with meatloaf. Okay, we're getting to the point where we can add our onion. Scoop that in there. Stir it up. Now the recipe is at the end of the video, so you'll have time to write down all the ingredients. But right now, this is a half of a medium-sized onion to 1 pound of ground meat. Then we add our celery, chopped fine, 1 stalk of celery. Now we're going to lower the heat a little bit to medium because we want this to soften the vegetables but not burn them. You see, in this whole time, we aren't getting that much moisture off the meat, and that's good. So we won't have to drain this into a colander like you would if you use just pure ground beef, less than 80% lean. So now while that's cooking, move that out of the way. Now, we are going to make the sauce. So, we take brown sugar. This is a 1/4 cup, but like I say, at the end of the video, you'll have all the ingredients. And we have 3 tablespoons of ketchup. Now, if you like ketchup, add more. Then we have 3 tablespoons of dry mustard, whatever your favorite brand is. Now we're going to turn this on, and hopefully it will light. Sometimes my stove acts up. So now, I'm going to mix this all together. We're going to pour in a cup of chicken stock. Not broth, not soup, stock. Why? Because it is richer in flavor, and we want to get as much flavor as possible off this meal. So we mix that together. Let that all dissolve. Bring it back a little bit. Now, we're going to grind in some pepper. And the reason, have you ever noticed why a waiter, server at a restaurant holds the pepper up like this? So you cover a better area, a wider area, instead of holding it low. I think the camera can get it. And then it's just a small area that gets covered. So your pepper ends up in a big lump. So you want to hold it high whenever you grind fresh pepper. Oh. Now, honey. We're using honey instead of the molasses. So now here we go. We're going to come along. And you know, you don't have to be real precise on these amounts. If you like something, you add it in more. If you don't like something, use less. Now the reason I'm mixing with the honey spoon is to get the honey off the spoon. See? Now we have everything in there. We'll let this heat up. See, now you get a few lumps of the dried mustard, so you just use your spatula or a spoon to break it up. Now, we'll do a fast little mix with our beef. Now this isn't as brown as you might want it to be, but I don't think you want to sit here and watch meat brown. That's worse than watching grass grow. So we will shut this off, combine it in with our sauce. I'm losing the meat. Now this cooks for 1 hour. And no, we're not going to keep you here watching this for an hour. So you would bring this to a boil. And I have to wipe up the stove here, I dribbled. Bring it to a boil, and then we will cover it and let it simmer on very low for 1 hour. But when you do that, you have to check it periodically because the sauce can boil down too much or simmer down too much, and then you'll have to add a little more stock. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, if you've watched all the videos yet, but I never add salt. The reason I don't add salt is one, Studs has high blood pressure. I retain water. We don't need salt. And in so many things that you use and buy, there already is salt. So, or sodium. So, I use herbs, spices. That removes the desire for salt. So that is something you should consider, and you will find that your foods are very flavorful and a little bit more healthy. Okay, so now we have that cooking, and I'm going to bend over and get a lid out to cover it. So I know my cameraman is not going to flash my rear end and take up the whole screen. So you watch this boil for a minute, and I'll be right back. Okay, now we're going to lower it a little more because we wanted to cook the liquid. By cooking down liquids in your foods, it intensifies the flavor. And there we go. Now we'll cover it, and we'll be back in an hour to check it out. Now, we're going to shut down for a second or two and move back, because you're not going to want to watch this for an hour. And we'll see you in your lifetime, 2 seconds, our lifetime, 58 minutes. Welcome back. See how fast time flies when you're having fun? So this is our meal. We're serving it with baked beans, some cherry tomatoes, our sloppy joes on a crusty roll, and iced tea. You can also serve it with corn, like corn on the cob, spiked watermelon. There's a whole variety of side dishes you can use. So we want to thank you again for coming out today. Hope to see you soon. And in the meantime, may you spend all of the days of your life seated with friends, filled with laughter, and around a well-laden table. Bye.